Hello and welcome back to Scaled Down Customs. So this is going to be part 3 of the Pagani Huayra build, and in part 1 we finished up the front frame assembly, so we've got that done. Part 2 we did the interior, so we've got that done. And by the way, I did glue the dashboard into the interior tub. You're supposed to do that after you put the top on, so pried that back out again. We'll be putting that in later. So in part 3 we're going to move ahead with the rear frame assembly and the drivetrain, the engine. So let's keep moving ahead with that. Alright, so for my chrome, I am going to strip this off. This chrome looks really good and I would like to keep it. However, my sprue cut points are going to show and there's a little bit of a mold line on the edge of these. So I'm going to strip it down, sand them up, and then re-chrome them. So to do that, I'll just be using my Easy Off oven cleaner, and this only takes a couple minutes. Make sure you use gloves, and I use my paint respirator because it's pretty hard stuff. So anyway, takes this chrome plating right off in just a couple minutes, so I'm going to go do that. Alright, so we got the chrome plating off the parts. I just did it 2 applications, and that second application finished stripping everything off. So like everything else, I'm going to get these parts cleaned off and ready for primer and paint as well. Alright, so I got my batch of pieces here in primer and ready for their color coat. So for my primer, I just used the Mr. Surface 1000. I thinned this down 50-50 with my Mr. Color thinners. So that's what I did for my primer. And for my silver paint, I'm going to be using all-clad aluminum. So let's go spray that. Okay, so we got the all-clad aluminum on there, looking pretty good. We're going to add some more paint on these control arms. We're going to paint those pale gold, but that looks pretty good for the aluminum. So next, we're going to do some of our exhaust pieces, and these are going to be chrome. So in order to do that, we're going to use the all-clad method, but first step is going to be gloss black for the base, and then the chrome for the finishing paint color. So let's go spray our gloss black. All right, so we got our chrome on there, and you just want to do really light dust coats to kind of build it up. So, and this, because it's really light dust coats, this is really fragile, so this will rub off if you touch it too much. Since it's still really fragile and can rub off very easily, we will put some clear coat on there just to kind of seal everything in. All right, so after some really careful masking, we're ready to spray some pale gold. I'm just going to be using the Alclad pale gold. And I used some liquid mask around here and some masking tape around the rest of it. So we'll see how that turns out, and then just masked up everything for the control arms as well, and some of the other pieces, as well as the top of the engine block. So that was some pretty fun masking, but we're going to head up to the spray booth and see how this turns out. Alright, it turned out pretty good. Got a little tiny touch up to do, and then I just need to, I'm going to paint these in a more of a chrome look, just these connectors, and then we should be done with that, ready to assemble the engine. So that looks pretty good. All right, I think we've got everything painted up to where we can start assembling some stuff. So let's do that. So for my glue, I'll just be using the gap filling medium CA glue, the super glue. I just get this from my local hobby shop, MRS Hobbies. So I'll be using that for my glue mostly. All right, now that we got the exhaust lines back up to snuff, we're going to continue installation. If you want to see more on how I did that on the heat staining, I know I did some in this video, but I redid these, and if you want to see that video, make sure you check out my video on how to heat stain exhaust for plastic model cars. All right, so let's keep moving ahead with engine and rear frame assembly. All right, so the instructions told me to put this piece onto the top control arm, but this will not fit over those drive shafts. So I took the drive shafts off. We're going to put this on and then see if we can get those drive shafts back on there. All right, not ideal, but that'll have to work. Holy cow, that was intense. That is a ton of little tiny pieces. But as you can see, when they all come together, that looks pretty outstanding. So there you go. There's the engine with the rear frame assembly completed. A little rough in a couple spots, but overall I think that came out pretty well. So on to the body, but of course this video is pretty long, so that'll do it for this video. So make sure you stay tuned for the next one when we start working on the body and start getting this thing put together. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you on the next one.